Hi everyone, welcome to our instructional video for this week's craft. This week we're going to be making some scratch art and we're going to make mandalas. Mandalas are a traditional form of art that was often used as a way to meditate. You can find them just about everywhere. There are coloring pages now, and the main part of mandalas is that they're made up of what it's called concentric circles, and that means that all of the circles have the same center, but they go out, 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 and they don't overlap or touch one another. So today we're going to be making some of those of our own. The very first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have all of your stuff. In your kit you have a paper plate. You can see I already started coloring mine. You are going to have a paper clip. You are going to have some black powder. That is paint powder, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. And you'll have a piece of string. You will also need crayons and a paintbrush. Now, crayons are necessary for this one. You have to have crayons, not markers. You can also use what are called oil pastels if you are an artistic household and you have those. Otherwise, regular crayons will do just fine. The other thing I found that I really recommend for this if you want to go out and buy something new, is these Crayola slick sticks. These are really great. These are crayons that are designed to be extra smooth and they go on really thickly. So you'll see in a minute why that's important. So first thing you're gonna wanna do is stir up your paint and have it ready to go. What I would do to start is add about a kitchen spoonful of water into your powder. Mix that up, see how thick it is. A little bit of water goes a really long way with this paint, and if you want to replicate this project at home later, this is tempera paint, so it's a little bit less shiny and I guess you could say sticky than regular acrylic paint. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put our string and our paper clip aside for a moment, and we're going to color our plate. Now you can see I have already started coloring my plate because I didn't want to spend the whole time on video coloring. The important parts for coloring your plate, and I'll color a little while I talk to you, is you want this to be very well covered. You don't want any white bits, and you want kind of a thick layer of crayon. So if you go over it a few times, that would be good. And since you are coloring a lot and pressing hard with the crayons, you might get these flakes. Don't brush them off because that will end up drawing lines on your paper. Since you have them contained on a plate already, you can just fold it like this and tap a little bit and dump that right in the trash can. I'm gonna dump this in my trash can next to me. Tap it a little if you need to get something off. And that technique is going to come back after we have painted it and done our scratching. You can color this in any design or colors you want. I wouldn't spend too much time doing a detailed design because it is going to get covered up. But you want lots of really nice bright colors and not a lot of white spots. Like this right here, that white spot, I'm actually gonna use this crayon and cover that up with another layer so that it isn't as big a white spot, and because those white bits will get covered up by the paint. Now, what wax does, and the reason you have to use crayons for this and not markers, is that wax is what's called hydrophobic, and phobic usually means scared. and hydro means water. Now that doesn't mean that crayons are afraid of water, but it does mean that crayons don't dissolve in water. They're not what's called water soluble. You might look at your markers, and I think that they will say somewhere on the box that they are water soluble, which is why markers do not work for this project. Your paint that you've mixed up is also water soluble. That is why when you add the powder to water and you stir it up, you get this nice paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our paint, and we want it to be a little thick. We don't want it to be too thin and runny. And what we're going to do is we are going to paint over our whole plate. Now, you can see that because this paint is mostly made out of water, and because our crayons are hydrophobic, the water wants to pool back up and go back to itself and not stick to the crayons. And that's good, but we do want to cover it up. So you are going to have to keep painting and kind of going over the same spots over and over again. And what I tend to do for this project is do lots of thin layers, because as one thin layer of paint dries, it's easier to add another thin layer of paint that then sticks to that layer instead of trying to stick to the crayons. There we go. Painting away. All right, so you get the idea. You want to cover up your whole plate here. You want to do more than one layer. I suggest 2. I think 2 is a pretty good number of layers. And the good news is with this paint is because it's water soluble, it's also very easy to clean up. So if you get it on your hands like I did here, it's very easy to wash off your hands. And there we go, see? Just paint back and forth and back and forth and back and forth a few times, and the paint will stop trying to bead up and get away from the crayon. There we go. Science and art. Okay, next thing you're gonna do is let this dry after you've got your 2 layers on. And it's very, very important that you let this dry all the way. You don't want it to be wet at all when you start the next part of this project. So you might have to leave it for an hour or a couple of hours or overnight even. This is kind of a multiple step project. You get to do your coloring and your painting at one time, and the next part, the mandala part, the second time. If you rush and try to do the mandala part while the paint is still wet, it's likely that your paper plate will tear. So I'm gonna set this one aside and let it dry. And I'm going to bring in this plate that I colored yesterday. And I did my paint on this one yesterday. And as you can see, it's all dry and ready to go. So first thing we're going to do is make a base for our mandala. And the way we're going to do that is to make concentric circles. We're going to use our paper clip from before to scratch off the paint and reveal the beautiful crayon colors underneath. So you unfold your paper clip so you've got a point there and a place to hold on here. And to this loop up at the top, you're going to tie on your piece of string, and you have made now what's called a compass. And sometimes a compass is used to refer to a magnetic tool that helps you find your way while you are hiking or driving or traveling. Compasses can also be used to draw circles. So if I hold my string right here and go around, it's going to make a perfect circle because it's always going to be the same distance from the center, and that's how you make a circle. So I'm going to start with a very small circle here in the middle. I'm going to use my compass to trace a small circle. You might also want to mark on your plate where you are using as center. I'm using this red dot right here, but I just found out that red dot is not part of what I colored. It is a piece of crayon that fell off. So I'm gonna make a little mark right here in the center, and that's my center. And you can see that there is blue showing through from when I colored my plate. And I'm going to add a couple more circles. I want one that goes outside of this one. So I'm going to trace like that. Now, your paint might not all scratch off on the first go around, and that's okay. You can go back and trace again. Like, see here, I didn't get paint off, I just kind of made a line, so we'll scrape there and make a nice wide line. If you're not comfortable using your compass to create your circles, the other thing you can do is trace things that are already circles, like plates or cups or bowls, onto your plate and make concentric circles that way. You can do what I am about to do right now. Take a risk and go freehand. It is up to you. And once you have your circles, you're going to do designs inside those circles. So you can slide your string off of your paper clip. And now you can use your paper clip to draw things in the circles, like patterns and designs. You don't want to do anything with too much detail. It should be kind of simple and repeating. So I'm going to do, let's say, lines like this in this circle. And you can see where this circle didn't end up quite as neat as I wanted it to, but that's okay. That means that this is my mandala that I made, and I learned something for the next time I do this project. So there we go, we have those, and then in this one I'm going to do, I think, curvy lines. So I'm gonna go like that. And you can really just have fun with it. You can also, if you don't feel like making a mandala, you can just use this method to scratch some nice designs or pictures into your plate. It's up to you. Ta-da! There we go. So I've got the start of my mandala here, and I am having a lot of fun. One thing that I also have, I don't know if you can see it because black is sometimes hard to see, but there are lots of little paint bits there on my plate that I've been scratching off, and instead of blowing these away or brushing them away because they would make a mess, I am going to dump these into the trash can and not dump them all over my craft table. So there you go. That is how you make your own scratch art surface, and how, if you want to do a mandala, you can do that too. I'm gonna do some lines like this. Now I'm just having so much fun. I don't want to stop the video because I don't want to stop creating this. But I am going to let you guys go. I hope you have fun making your own mandalas and your own scratch art. I would love to see pictures of them if you feel like sending them to me. And I will see you next time. Bye!